Yeah, I got deployed to Afghanistan twice.
Yeah.
The first thing we did when we landed was we did an op the very first night. We rounded up all the elders and we pulled them into a meeting. And we basically said, if any one of our guys steps on an IED, we're burning all of your poppy fields down.
Whoa.
None of our guys ever stepped on an IED.
Hi. Hello. Shawn, thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We met playing poker. People say you can tell a lot about a person by playing how they play poker. That was my first time.
What'd you learn?
I learned that I need to play more often. I had thankfully
you did pretty good.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I played one time with some old roommates and their friends, and I knew I'm not a great liar. I get excited very easily. I'm over animated.
Yeah.
And I knew that about me. So every hand I got, I just acted like I had like a winning hand.
Mm-hmm.
That was way easier to fake than act like I have nothing, right? And I was telling this story to my buddy Rob, and he is a professional poker player, and he was on the podcast. And he goes, well, at least you had a plan. Most people don't even have a plan. He's like, you had a plan. He goes, how did it work out? I go, well, they didn't know if I didn't have anything. I was just, It's easier for me to keep my composure as an excited puppy versus trying to like play it cool, like, well, I'm not interested in you, lady, but I really am interested. Like, I can't do that. So, yeah, thank you for going easy on me.
No, you did good, man. I thought for your first time, I was like, that was pretty good.
Beginner's luck. Yeah, so you keep your hair short. Literally, you keep your hair really short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a job where I can't wear a hat, so I don't like to grow it out. Those in-between phases between short and long, they're rough if you can't wear a hat to hide it. So
yeah.
Keeping it short for now, and then near future, I'll probably be growing it out long.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll go through and just keep this nice and short. Mm-hmm. We already talked about it. We need to work on getting this roundness gone. Mm-hmm. So this part may not get cut much.
Stewie Griffin head.
What's Griffin head?
Stewie Griffin?
Who?
Family Guy? He's got a football head.
Oh.
You never seen?
I never watched it.
You've never seen Family Guy?
I mean, I've seen it. I know. It never won me over.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I
give it another chance. Watch some of the newer ones.
Yeah, maybe.
You like South Park?
I like South Park. The last cartoon that I just could not get enough of, and I don't know why, was Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Mm-hmm. When I saw that, good. I was like, oh my God, this is like everything I want in a cartoon. It makes no fucking sense.
Adult Swim, dude.
Adult Swim, yeah.
Late
Glenn
night.
Danzig. Mm-hmm. They had Zach Wilde. They had Neil Peart with the drum solo of Life. I mean, it's like so random. It was right up my alley. So we're going to keep your hair short. We're going to keep it fun. And why you're here is because you had an interesting life before now as a Navy SEAL.
Yes, sir.
I've never interviewed a Navy SEAL. I've never cut hair on anyone who's a Navy SEAL. I had a client of mine who, when he was younger, he was in school in San Diego, and he was at a bar, and it was near Coronado. And he was talking to these guys, and he found out they were all like been in SEALs and SEAL Team 6 and all that or whatever. And he said he made the mistake of going like, so, have you killed anyone?
Oh boy.
And he said if they didn't, he goes, they were that night. He's like, I've never felt more fearful of my life of asking that question. I go, why did you ask that? He goes, I wanted to know. And I've been drinking. The filter was removed.
It happens a lot.
And I was like, he's like, wouldn't you want to know? I'm like, no, it's complete. Like, I want to know everything else before that. Like, my great grandpa was in World War II. I never asked him, never need to know. I'm like, you're in war. War happens. Yeah. I know what the rules are. Mm-hmm. You know, it's eat or be eaten, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like that right there. Like, I don't care about that shit. Yeah. I care about all the other stuff, like how to get in there, like the mental toughness it takes, the trauma. I mean, you always hear about this now with Ibogaine and PTSD and all that. Yeah. And then I've had a couple guys who were high ranking in the Army and they're stationed overseas, and they have talked a little bit. They wouldn't go into too much detail about transitioning from this very structured, punctual life into now
Yeah.
And most of these guys, oddly enough, ended up becoming CEOs in companies.
That happens a lot. Yeah.
And talking to him, I was one guy in particular. I was able to sort of like get an idea of like how there's tools and things you're faced with that you coming out from that environment could totally benefit you from the civilian.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also think that there's probably a whole bunch of shit that doesn't.
Of course. Yeah.
Maybe the dark humor is a benefit.
It's a whole different world for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to put a cape on you, and then we're going to start cutting. Sound good?
Let's do it.
I'm going to start here on the top.
Okay.
Because this is the part where we have the most amount of hair. This part's going to be the easiest. What I want to know is, like, when my hands, the hair is coming out of my hands, is that what you want to see off? Do you ever put product in your hair, Shawn?
No, I never put product. No,
You know?
rarely.
Rarely. Do you like just get out of the shower and just like do this and then?
Yep, put a hat on.
Cool. We can.
But just take a little bit off. I don't want to. I'm actually kind of okay with the length on top, just a little bit.
Yeah, I think the length is gonna. Well, first off, we need to get this corner part built up.
Yeah.
So we need some of that. So all right, cool. Let's do that. How long were you in? Like, how did this all happen? Like, where did you grow up? How did you get to Coronado? How did you get to Austin?
Man, it was a long ride. So born in Corpus Christi, Texas, grew up on the coast. If you don't know about Corpus, it's basically without going down to South Padre Island in Mexico, it's like the next highest beach up, I guess you could call. So I grew up on the beaches literally my entire childhood. My mom would literally drop me off at a mile marker on the beach, drive down because the undertow, the rip toe is so strong down there. Okay. It just pulls you in the water. So you could go out in the water and you could look back for 5 minutes. You could look back and you'll be a couple hundred yards down from where you were. So my mom would literally, I had so much energy. She would drop me off at like mile marker 50 and she would drive down to mile marker 20 or 10.
Wow.
And then within an hour, I would have moved all the way down to her. So then she would yell at me. She'd just read a book or whatever. And she would yell at me to get out of the water. So that's kind of how I grew up. And that's kind of where my love for the ocean and doing kind of crazy stuff started. And then so from there, we moved around a lot. I probably lived in 7 different towns in Texas.
All in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in southern Texas. From there, my parents were never married. I was actually a spring break accident in 1983 in Padre Island. So my dad and his family are from Wisconsin. So I wanted to get to know him and get to know that side of the family. So my senior year of high school, I ended up moving up there, which was a blessing for me because I was getting in a lot of trouble down here.
Yeah.
Like a lot. So I moved up there, finished high school, and then ended up getting accepted into college up there in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And so went to college there for 4.5 years, graduated, moved to Florida, lived in Tallahassee for a couple years, lived in Key West for almost a year.
Yeah.
And then from Tallahassee, moved to Colorado. And then when I was in Florida, I started thinking about going into the military, right? So I had my degree.
What did you have your degree in?
Recreation management.
Okay.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just wanted the easiest classes possible.
So PE.
So, yeah. Like our thesis at the end was we had to create a haunted trail for the community. So I got my degree doing face painting.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. I think I originally went in for business management and I was just...
no.
Yeah. I was like, I don't even want to be here. I always knew I wanted to be a Navy SEAL since I was a little kid.
What was it about the Navy SEALs that like drew you in?
The ocean for one. And then it was the hardest thing out there.
It was the hardest thing out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew from a really early age I wanted to do it.
All right. So in the tier of elite mercenary forces, let's just call it that, or armed forces, there are the Green Berets.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Army Special Forces. Are those the same thing or are those different?
Sorta. Yeah.
They're like,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you have the Navy SEALs. Am I missing another group?
Like Marine Recon.
Okay.
So that, yeah.
Which one is the hardest to be
The in?
SEALs. The SEALs.
Yeah, because of the water.
Because you have to like hold your breath forever.
Yeah. Oh, SEAL stands for sea, air, and land. So we dominate every aspect. Yeah.
Oh.
So a lot of those guys, they can handle the water, but they're not built for it like we are. They don't train for it like we do. So you can literally drop us anywhere in the world at any given time, and we know how to get the mission accomplished. That's basically the SEALs.
So I have never had a desire to be in the armed forces of any sort, but anytime I would see the training for the water, that is the one thing that has excited me. Growing up in Southern California, growing up in the ocean, having to like hold your breath for
cold water over there too.
For an insane amount of time because you're just getting your body surfing or boogie board, and you're just getting wave after wave after wave. You just got to hold your breath. And I was a competitive swimmer growing up. I am a fish. I love it. Yeah. And every time I see this shit, I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like, it looks so fun.
Well, for you, it looks like fun, but for most people, they're terrified of it. They're terrified of drowning, and they're not strong swimmers.
I understand that. I understand that. And I know a lot of people do have a fear of water. Like, I have a fear of heights.
Yeah.
I don't have a fear of water. I don't have a fear of the ocean. I have a fear of like doing unsafe things when you know it's unsafe in the ocean. Like people who don't grow up in the ocean, they're like, oh, aren't you worried about, for instance, my best friend Robert and I were in North Carolina where he lives, and we're in Asheville, and we're like going to go up this thing called like rock slide or slide rock. It's like a natural slide made out of stone. And it started to rain. And there was like this little fast moving stream, nothing intense. And they closed it. The water maybe came up to my ankles. And we almost got escorted out of the national park because
you went in?
Because I was trying to go in. And I'm like, oh, come on. They're like, it's too dangerous. I'm like, it comes up to my ankles. They're like, you don't understand. I'm like, you don't understand. We're from Southern California. Like, we've been in waves taller than we were when we were 5 and 6 years old. Like, this is nothing. Like, little fast moving water. I'm like, I'm fine. And people go like, you fast moving water. I'm like, I understand it's fast. I understand it's fast. Like, a fast moving river, that would probably be more treacherous for me than an ocean.
Right. Yep. Because at least you have buoyancy in the ocean. That's the biggest thing.
That's thank you. So how did you like the whole undersea thing?
Well,
were you good?
We were mostly on the surface.
Yeah.
Like there is SEAL teams, they're called SDV teams out in Hawaii, and they kind of specialize in doing like, submersible vehicles. And they're down there for long periods of time, which is why I chose not to do it. But I did a lot of diving in the teams. They use what's called a closed circuit system. Okay. Where like your typical scuba is an open circuit where you can see the bubbles coming up when you're breathing. SEALs use a closed circuit. So all the bubbles, everything is contained. If you're doing it properly, it's contained within the unit.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So you can go undetected.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
One of my wife's friends, he worked at SeaWorld, and he was like a sea lion trainer. But he also was working with the DOD with dolphins. And the stories he was telling me about the work, the training for the dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking about the stuff that they were doing back in Vietnam was out of control. And he's like, dude, I can only imagine like if they've continued the programs and like where it is today.
Yeah, supposedly they stopped all of that.
I don't think so. They said they stopped MK Ultra as well.
Yeah, there's some stories I've heard about where they would basically they had these dolphins that were trained to take out divers, like Russian divers, right? So if there's Russian divers around the coast of the U.S., these dolphins would find them, echolocation or whatever they call it. They would find these divers and then just go down there and wreck their world, So they would train these on the SEALs that were doing underwater diving around San Diego. And the stories I heard, pretty terrifying.
Have you ever swam with dolphins before?
No.
So when I was in the Bahamas, I did the whole like package where you swim, you take your photo and all that. When they're in a playful mode, it's like, it reminded me of like, the closest thing I could think of is like the friendliness of a golden retriever. But when you're holding the boogie board and they blow the whistle and you keep your feet close together and they put their nose, the end of their nose in the arches of your feet, and they push you and you're going really fast, really quick. That was the moment when I realized all it's going to take is one of these guys just to swim right at me, hit me right in the stomach, and I'm toast. Yeah. Like the sheer power was frightening.
Oh, yeah.
And after that, I'm like playing with it like gently. I'm like, don't hurt me. And you have to take off all things that are shiny. They don't want any reflective like watches and jewelry and everything. I don't know why. I'm like, they're not barracudas, but they wanted all that off. And I have no idea why they wanted no reflective jewelry.
Huh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Maybe I'll know one day.
Yeah.
So you didn't swim with the dolphins?
I didn't, but the stories I heard were, basically like when you're swimming in San Diego, we do a lot of night dives, right?
There's weird shit at night there.
Yeah. So it's super dark. The only light you're seeing down there is the bioluminescence, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's pitch darkness and you're swimming down there for hours at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys would be training and then they would set the dolphins loose on them. And these guys would be telling stories, they're down near the bottom and all of a sudden they just feel this rush of, something running by them. Yeah. Like a current hitting them.
Oh God.
And then basically the next thing they said they hear just kind of cascading through the water. And there's some stories where basically these dolphins have like huge dicks. So these dolphins would come down and wreck some of these guys' world. And the thing with SEAL training is you always have a swim buddy. Like that's kind of like our thing. You don't go anywhere without your buddy. And so when we're doing dives, we're attached by a tether to our buddy in case something happens. And so there's just stories where typically you'll have one diver in front of the other when you're swimming and you're kicking out. Like you're not like lollygagging under the water. Like you have a target and you have to swim underwater for sometimes 2 to 3 hours to get to this target. Yeah. And the whole time you're putting out, you're kicking, you're finning really hard. And so you're attached to your buddy and your buddy's job is to keep up with you. And when you're the chase swimmer, it's really hard to keep up with your buddy already. Yeah. So, if the front one, for whatever reason, is easy. When you're following, it's just, I don't know why it's hard, but there's stories where the lead swimmer is kicking out and then all of a sudden the rope starts tugging. And typically that means your buddy can't keep up with you. So dudes will get fed up with it. And be like, come on, get over here. And so like there's stories where these guys are like, it keeps getting tugged. And all of a sudden it stops. And they turn around and they yank on it to pull them closer. Yeah. And there's a dolphin just humping the fucking shit out of him down into the ground. His tanks and everything is just like flying all over the fucking place. So yeah, I think they put a stop to that.
There are many videos on YouTube of people doing a dolphin experience. Yeah. And they got an experience. I was telling this to one of my clients. Like, this is back in like 2013, maybe. Mm-hmm. She goes, no, tap. I'm like, no. So I grabbed the iPad and I pull it up on YouTube. And there was like, not just one video. There's like hundreds of incidents of dolphins doing like the dog hump on like, they like jump out of water. They're like, and it was all, there was no men getting humped in these videos, but it was the funniest thing. We were crying, laughing. She's like, could you imagine like your whole life, you've been so excited to swim with the dolphins. And then this is your like first interaction.
Oh yeah.
Flippers getting frisky.
Horny as shit.
And by the way, what you just described, why is not anybody made like a killer dolphin movie about like a CIA military rogue dolphin? That would be a fun. They did Sharknado. Yeah. They should do this.
You know what the Russians were training? We were training dolphins. They were training killer whales.
That's a better one. That is literally a
terrifying
killing machine. Yeah. But there's no attacks in the wild.
Yeah.
There's no recorded attacks in the wild, but they are.
That we know of.
Good point. I have a buddy, he's a conservationist. He has a whole thing out in California. And he'll, every now and then, he'll post when the orcas are in Southern California. And he's like, man, they are training the young to hunt. Yeah. And he said, it is brutal because the mothers will just do everything they can to like drain the energy of the seal or the dolphin. Mm-hmm. And then they're like nudging their offspring. And then he said that one time he saw 2 killer whales just like go, one caught it and the other one took the other half and they just like ripped the seal in half. Oh, yeah. And they did the same thing to a dolphin. He goes, it is brutal to watch.
Have you seen them kill a great white?
Yeah.
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 They just turn them upside down.
Oh, dude. Well, that's that whole area of Africa. Yeah. The southern part of Africa. And anytime there's a great white gets murdered, they also find that there's no sharks in the area.
Oh, yeah.
There's something about the blood of the shark is able to permeate through the water. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, that's where they were wondering, if you took the blood of a shark, could you use it as a shark repellent?
Nah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's what these guys were testing. And they were actually able to find that when they did that, the sharks would keep a really great distance away.
Yeah.
Some of them would get curious because I think they're kind of like, hey, we don't see a shark. Why do we smell this dead shark?
Yeah. I always wondered that. If I'm going to get into surfing, I need some sort of insurance.
I've never been surfing.
You've never been?
No. I'm not against it. I just, I didn't know any surfers really growing up. Like, I knew people who did surfing, but I was never like friends with them. They're like people in high school. They're like, oh, we're going to go surfing after school. You're like, all right, have fun. I'm going to go to my room and learn how to play Pantera on my guitar. Did you ever go see any, did you get deployed to anything?
Yeah, I got deployed to Afghanistan twice and Iraq once.
Oh, man. I've heard stories about that. It was...
I loved it, actually.
You did?
Yeah, Afghanistan more.
Okay. I need you to explain why.
To me, it felt like the Wild Wild West.
Really?
Yeah. It's like it felt like the last frontier where you're allowed to be judge, jury, and executioner. To me, I don't know. It's very strange when you're there. The people are very strange. So
Explain
their only source of income is poppy, right? Right.
Opium.
Opium. That's what, the majority of, I don't know, something like 90% or maybe more of the world's heroin comes from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And so there's fields of poppy everywhere.
Yeah.
And so all of the locals, we came during the winters when we arrived, and all of the locals were friendly. Every time you passed by houses, little old ladies were smiling at you, kids were running up to you.
Yeah.
When harvest season started, everything shifted. Everything changed, and everybody became hostile. Everybody started giving you dirty looks. Everybody became violent. Like, it was crazy. There was a significant shift in the demeanor. I don't know. I always wondered if they were doing the drugs while they were harvesting it and it was causing them to be sketched out, or if they were worried that we were going to try to take away their income, because that's the only thing they make money on for the whole year. They have to survive off that. And they don't have anything.
Now, historically, has that been their whole thing? Because I remember reading something, and I'm grasping at the memory, like grasping at straws on this one, that when American troops were kind of like overseeing the land of that area, that was when the opium production increased, because the rules of the Taliban at that time, the Taliban does not promote growing the opium. That was like what I read. It was like a mainstream article that like
a lot of deals were made in order to allow us to be there.
Yeah.
Right. There was a lot of underhand deals that were made even when we got there. Yeah. The first thing we did when we landed was we did an op the very first night. We rounded up all the elders and we pulled them into a meeting, and we basically said, if any one of our guys steps on an IED, we're burning all of your poppy fields down.
Whoa.
None of our guys ever stepped on an IED. So
my friend, she lost her husband to that.
Oh, really? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. And the thing that makes it more heartbreaking is I believe the day his body arrived home was the week he was supposed to be back.
No. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, she's like 25, widow. I mean, it was brutal.
Yeah. There was one IED incident, but it was a local guy that stepped on one.
Oh, wow.
And then I ended up having to escort him on a helicopter to a hospital. He was screaming the whole flight.
Yeah, I can imagine. My friend's father was in Vietnam, and he stepped on a tripwire, lost his legs. And he was telling me all that. He goes, that 1 second feels like forever.
Oh, yeah.
And and having him talk about Vietnam, man, that was, there's a lot that doesn't get shown in the movies.
Of course, yeah. War's ugly, dude. Oh, you don't want to know. Just like the Epstein files, you don't want to know how dark it can get, but it's true.
You want to hear a story I have about Epstein files?
What do you got?
All right. I had a client. Her husband was a campaign manager for somebody who was running for president. I won't say who. I'm not going to say for which side of the team either. And I made a comment because I believed at that moment in time that Barack Obama was going to get the nomination for the DNC over Hillary Clinton. And she goes, you think he's going to make it? I go, I absolutely believe he is. And I go, if Clinton gets the nomination, she'll probably win the overall thing. And then I guess you get Bill back in the House, right? Mm. And she looked at me. She goes, one day, everyone's going to know about him, an island, and girls in a plane.
Ooh.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what? Like, I don't. It went, whew. This is like what, 2006?
2006.
2007?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even believe he was even being prosecuted for the shit in Florida by that time.
No.
Which made me go, is this an open secret? Was this a well-known thing, right? And then in like what, 2018 is when he got arrested? 2018, I think? Maybe 2019? No, 2018, I think. When all that stuff came out, I was like, I had one of those moments where you're like in the movie where you flash back in time.
Yeah.
And I just remembered exactly, I was like, that is what she was referring to.
Mm-hmm.
It was wild.
Oh,
it was wild. And it made me start going like, how many things was she also telling me that I wasn't paying attention to?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's crazy. What are you talking about?
That's the one thing I learned from everything that's unfolded over the last few months is how good they are at keeping secrets. And if this is what we know,
what do we not know?
Exactly.
Oh yeah. No, there's some shit, man.
This is the tip of the iceberg, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've made it pretty apparent on several episodes that I'm a huge fan of all conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe them all, just because you say you like conspiracy theories, everybody believes that you believe all of them. That's not true.
Yeah.
But some of the theories sound more plausible than the original or the official explanation. And, where there's smoke, there's fire, but I don't always think it's the right fire. I sometimes, have you ever seen like a fire, like in a city? You have an idea of where it's at,
mm-hmm.
but it's actually not there. I think that's like conspiracy theories a lot. Like, oh, the fire's over in that city. Mm-hmm. And you're like, actually it wasn't. It was actually
right.
There's the next city over. But from where you were, from your vantage point, it looked like it was.
Yeah.
And I think that happens a lot.
I think the truth is always somewhere in the middle.
Totally. So how long were you a SEAL?
8 years.
Best 8 years of your life?
Yeah, in some aspects. But when I went into it, I kind of went into it with the idea that I was going to be, this was going to be my one career that I did for 30 years. And then I retired and rode off into the sunset. But then when I got there, I kind of felt like I had already accomplished it. But I kind of got lucky because normally it's kind of rare to get 3 combat deployments back to back to back. It's very rare.
Okay, I didn't know.
A lot of guys, they'll be in the teams for 10 to 15 years before they get a combat deployment.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of lucked out in that aspect. So by the time I finished my second deployment, I already kind of felt satisfied. I knew I wanted to, I accomplished what I set out to do whenever I originally wanted to go. So after my third one, I had to make a hard decision. I was at 8 years, and in the teams, you re-enlist for 4 years at a time.
Okay.
And it's a big bonus too, to re-enlist. But I knew if I re-enlisted at 8, it was going to put me at 12 years total.
Yeah.
And I was going to only be 8 years from full retirement. So I felt like if I had re-signed for 4 years at 8, it would have made me, I would have been stuck for 12.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I just did a lot of soul searching at that time. And both of my daughters were really young.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to miss out on any more because you're gone 80 to 85% of the year. Yeah. Even if you're not deployed, you're still training away from home.
And this is also a career where your deployment could ultimately get you to never come back home.
Exactly. Yeah. There's always that risk.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, I think I'm going to retire from, you're not like Eli Manning who won 2 Super Bowls before 30. And you're like, I don't really have anything else to prove.
That's
I
it.
beat the GOAT twice.
Yeah. He's
not going, he's not in a life and death profession.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like every time, so we do these things called workups, right? So it's a 2-year workup for each deployment.
Okay.
So you'll train for about 1.5 years and then you'll deploy for like a 6 to 9 month deployment.
Yeah.
Typically.
Okay.
It's a long process. You're going through a lot of training, and it's not just you're at risk of losing your life on deployment. you're at risk of losing your life during training. More people lose their life in training than they do overseas.
Okay,
because the training, we train for the fight. So everything you're doing, you're training with live ammo, live explosives. You're diving into water where anything could happen. Murphy's Law can happen anytime. You're jumping out of planes. I've had friends that have passed away just in skydive training. Multiple friends.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going through this long workup, then you deploy and you're getting shot at, you're getting in firefights, you're driving vehicles where you can hit a VBID, vehicle-based IED. So there's so many ways you could die. And then you finish that, you come home, they'll give you about a month to relax and spend time with your family, and then you start all over again. All the training cycles, the deployment, and then you do it again, and you do it again. And it's like every single time you're like, man, I cheated death again. And so
at some point you're like, your number's coming up.
Exactly. Yeah. Because especially you see people dying around you. That's, you see people dying doing the same things around you that you just did.
Yeah.
Like I've been relieved by really good friends of mine, and then one of them died in the exact same place where I was, just like a couple months later.
That has to
after
be
we left.
awful.
You know what I mean? So it becomes a how many times do you want to, keep testing this, Grim Reaper?
When you're home for that 1 month, is it even enough time for you to like decompress from that? And I just know from like all the business trips that I go on, I'm only away for like 4 or 5 days. I couldn't imagine being gone for like 80 days.
Try 9 months.
Exactly.
That's rough.
And then you come home and everyone's expecting you to like kind of pick up for where you left off.
Yeah, it's different though. Every time you come back. So like for me, I had 2 young girls.
Yeah.
When you're gone for 6 to 9 months at a time, they forget. Like the power structure within that household is weird. You know what I mean? It's completely different because when you're gone, your spouse is the
whole person,
the boss, right? And your kids only answer to her. And then when you come back, you're supposed to you expect to pick up where you left off, but nobody's used to that anymore. So your kids don't know how to act with you back around, right? Your wife is still adjusting to it because now she knows she needs to give up that, conch shell to you, but so it's always a weird dynamic for guys. Families struggle a lot with it.
Because I know people who, I've had women in my chair and they would talk about how they had a ex-husband or something like that. And the power dynamic and also the loneliness you get is really something else too. Yeah,
they have to have a very strong structure or circle of women there with them. And if they don't, they typically go crazy.
I think it's crazy to be able to do that. I mean, I could not do that at all. But the weird thing is I wanted to be in like a national touring band playing music, right? So it's like I would have been gone 9 months too.
Yeah.
Just not as much death.
It seems like all the cool things out there force you to be away from your family, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand that, why that seems to be. So you did that for 8 years, and then you got out, and then what was your first thing? You're like, you know what?
Moving back to Texas.
I'm going to get a job doing insurance sales, and I'm going to live the most 9 to 5. I'm just going to get my 401k. I'm going to make sure I have a really good health plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to,
So got out, immediately wanted to move back to Texas. I lived in, Colorado, Wisconsin, Florida, California, and I just wanted to get back here. This is home. So moved back here, didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew is that I didn't want to work for anybody. I had about $15,000 saved up in the bank account, and the only thing I could find that I could afford to start with that money was a food trailer.
So you did a food trailer?
I did a food trailer for 3 years. Yeah.
What kind of food was it?
So you were talking about that town Dripping Springs?
Yeah.
We lived there. That's where we moved.
Oh, wow.
And there was no wing places, right? In San Diego, we were watching football. We would always eat wings. And there was no place to get wings. You had to go all the way to Austin. So we came up with a food trailer called Dripping Wings.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And it actually worked out. We were actually making decent money. And we won awards for like the best wings.
That's cool.
But I wasn't happy. I was just doing it because I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to work for anybody else. I needed a long time to decompress from everything that I did.
Yeah.
And I struggled with PTSD and TBI. Sometimes you struggle with that stuff. You don't even realize you're struggling with it, you know?
And you can't also, like, I've heard the stigma around it. It's like, you can't say, hey, I think I have this. And the minute you say that, it's like, oh, we're going to pull you off everything.
Well, that's part of the fear. But the other part is like when you get out, people are like, oh, it's a Navy SEAL. They have this expectation of what they expect you to be. And so if you're dealing with problems, you don't want anybody to see it because you don't want to ruin the reputation of your community.
Or have everybody like, oh man, I just met this guy who got out. He's a crybaby.
Yeah.
I bet they're all crybabies.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, they just went through a level of trauma and stress that you'll never encounter in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would probably have broken a normal, I imagine the mental strength that you have to have. It's either, you don't have it and you just persevere just by like, your nervous system is just going bananas the entire time. Or these are people whose, mentality and focus is like a steel trap. Like, and I don't know which one it is because I imagine it's probably a mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, you don't know how you're going to react in those stressful situations until you're put in that situation.
I shared with something earlier to you, which I'm not going to go into, and it's very much one of those things. Like, I would have never thought I reacted.
Yeah, you don't know until you're there. That's the thing. It's like you don't know how you're going to react in a firefight until you hear bullets snapping past your head.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And you could be the toughest guy. I've seen plenty of guys that are rock stars in training, a controlled environment. But then when it's the real thing, you see people clam up. You see people, their personality changes.
That was
to the point you don't even recognize that person.
That was one of the best parts I thought of that movie Fury, is the kid just like closes down in the tank.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. And I don't know how accurate that was from somebody who actually has that experience. I find it very entertaining, but I love that they showed what I would imagine be archetype personalities that you would encounter in a unit.
Yeah. Well, everybody's different. And in those moments,
yeah,
it becomes a question of how much have you really contemplated your death, your moment of death in your life, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I always was into more like deeper, darker thoughts and philosophical type of, personal discussions with myself and imagining this moment of death and how it's going to be. But then when you find yourself in a situation where now you're faced with yours, if you haven't done that prep work, how do you justify the situation? Is this the moment I'm going to die? Is this going to be that moment? So everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
And in the military, you have so many different personalities, and you put a stressful environment like that on people, and you see a lot of wacky stuff.
Like I said, I could only imagine what that's like. I had one guest on. He was a comedian, and he was in the Army, and he was talking about how the Army prepared him for really having like the darkest sense of humor that he brought to his comedy.
Yeah.
And he goes, man, think about it. You're in a dark spot, and so everyone's humor is completely influenced.
Well, it's the only way you can keep your sanity.
Yeah.
That's where that dark humor comes from. First off, you're in the military, so you can't leave.
You're stuck.
Yeah. If you get fed up of this house, this town, your family, your relationships, you can just leave. In the military, there's no leaving. That's AWOL. You're going to jail.
Yeah. You're property of the government.
Exactly. And so that realization really messes with a lot of people.
That would have not been for me. The minute somebody would have started yelling at me, I would have mouthed off. I already know. I would have gotten slugged, dropped to the floor, and put in barracks. I already know me. I have a mouth on me.
Yeah.
I would have been a horrible candidate for this. But at least I know that.
Yeah.
Wow, man. And then, so you did the food truck, and then how did you get into training? That's what I want to know.
So for those 3 years I was doing the food truck, I basically wanted to escape the world, but I had 2 kids that I had to figure out a way to provide for.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I was really kind of like in a dark place mentally.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, who's a good friend of mine now, he had heard I was there and approached me and just wanted to introduce himself and say hello. He was another team guy that had gotten out, a few years before me. Mm-hmm. And he struggled with a lot of the same stuff when he got out. So he sits me down and he's like, we just had a conversation, but at the end of it, he was like, dude, he's like, you remind me of me when I got out. He goes, I want to help you. And I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I still had this like defensive wall up, or,
like, no one can help me.
No, I mean, I was just like in denial.
Oh, that you had, that maybe you needed help.
Exactly. So he was able to see it. And, even when I hadn't even realized it. So he goes, let me help you out. He goes, I'm going to give you some mushrooms.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. He goes, I'm going to give you some mushrooms. All you're going to do is microdose. You're going to take this little bit, take it on days you're feeling pissed off. Take it on days where the world doesn't make sense and you're depressed or whatever it is. Just take this and try this. And so I was like, all right, whatever. So I tried it. Yeah. And it was like my body temperature went down like 10 degrees. Really? Like it just cooled me down. All of a sudden colors were prettier. Music sounded better. I was just happier. I wasn't thinking about all this stuff. I didn't have like this brain fog that was going on. Yeah. It just relaxed me. And so immediately became a big fan of that and started medicating with the plant medicine for about a solid year. Okay. And then during that, then I started training again. So I started running, and that was kind of my escape from all these thoughts that were going through my head. And I would take bigger doses of mushrooms and I'd go on really long runs. And
I've heard that like psychedelics and working out is like a really good combination.
Dude, it was incredible. Like honestly, I would go on these trail runs. So you're out in nature, you're running through the trees, and I would be just tripping balls on these mushrooms.
It's just funny, but like...
It sounds funny, but dude, it was like I was floating. I didn't even feel my feet hitting the ground.
I've never done mushrooms. I've never even smoked pot.
You've never done mushrooms?
I've never done a drug in my life.
Oh my God. Dude.
I didn't even start drinking until I was like almost 21. Mm-hmm. So I hear all this stuff, and like I was telling somebody this, and I believe this to be true about myself, that like I know where my problems are, and I know the things that trigger me, and I know this and that, right? I don't think therapy I think therapy is great to help you like figure out like, oh, here are the things. I know the things. I don't know how to like hit reset. And so I believe that if I really was wanting to like try to like resolve that, it's probably going to have to be doing some sort of plant medicine. But then I was talking to my buddy Jeremy. He doesn't do any of the plant medicine. He does these men's retreats. Jeremy Jackson played Hobie on Baywatch. Okay. And he was telling me that there's these breathing exercises
that can
stimulate the same experience where he's like, you're going to have this transcendence like if you were on plant medicine. Because I think the retreat it's a sober retreat in a way that they don't do the plant medicine down in Costa Rica. They do these breathing exercises, and I'm like this close to going. To schedule a session of that breathing, because I would like to do that first before I try to like rewire my entire like neuro pathways. Yeah. with plant medicine.
Well, you go into it with intentions, right? It's not a party drug. I mean, even though people use it as a party drug, it's not intended to be a party drug. So if you go into using it with an intention and you set the environment properly for this, you find answers to your questions. Yeah. Right.
Totally.
So I did that I probably did it for a total of 2 years. And then I finally hit a point where it's like, I'm good. I don't need it anymore. And then I did a retreat at the end of it. I did a DMT retreat. You ever done DMT? No? No. You haven't done any of this stuff?
I did have a friend of mine I have a lot of sober friends, and he did say, he's like, I am not advocating for any drug use. He goes, DMT and mushrooms is what he said. He goes, I think everyone should at least experience one of the two. He's like, because it is like, wow. He's like, you like he said like all the tension in his body that he didn't know he was carrying was like resolved.
Yeah. Well, for me, it gave me an appreciation for life. Like, because I didn't appreciate being alive. I didn't appreciate this world when I got out of the military. And so when I did that DMT retreat, bro, it showed me that moment of death. It showed me like I died in that moment and was reborn.
Everybody talks about that same experience. They all see themselves dying. Yeah. And it's the most traumatic thing. Mm-hmm. and they come to terms, and they come to grips with it, and they come back just like having this appreciation for life. And I already appreciate life.
Yeah,
like 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, what the hell is that going to do for me? I'm like,
well, for somebody like you would actually get a lot more out of it, I think.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would absolutely hope so.
Yeah.
But
because you're already at this point. You don't need to do all that work to get to this point.
I mean, you're being generous.
I recommend, that's probably the easier one. It's the most psychedelic of all of them.
Yeah.
But it's very quick. It only takes about 5 to 10 minutes and you're back to normal.
Yeah. Like I've always thought like, man, it would be fun to like do a trip and go out to Marfa. Just,
I know a guy.
Which is to me like the Texas version of Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Just go out there. And I've always thought if I did, I would need like pencils and paper and canvas and paint.
Do it.
And a guitar. Like I imagine I would just need all the things that make me happy in life that are creative. Because I just imagine that's what I would need.
Dude, to me, I've had some of the most interesting trips on mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
So I would do microdosing during the week, and then on the weekends I would do hero doses.
Okay.
Which is like typical hero dose for most people is like 3 to 4 grams.
Okay.
I would do like 8 to 12 grams.
That sounds like a lot.
So I would go really deep. I prefer going deeper than teetering on the edge of it. I don't know. It's more comfortable. I get anxiety from being on the edge.
Are you? Would you say that you choose to live like in a more extreme setting? Because like you like the bigger one, right? Like you enjoyed that more. Like you were all in, right? You just didn't like go like, oh, I'm going to join the military. You went all in.
I wouldn't say I'm extreme. I guess extremely curious about what the universe really is.
Okay.
What's reality, right? So
some of it's
with
perception.
that, you find a lot of your answers in that realm. I found out that we're all connected, right? When I did DMT the very first time, they put a mask on your eyes, right? So they put a mask because the eyes are like the windows to the soul, right?
That's what they say.
So they don't want to. You don't want to look into somebody's eyes when they're tripping that hard because it can mess you up, and vice versa.
Like it would mess me up if I was sober watching you?
It can, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because it's almost like looking into a dead person's eyes.
Ugh.
In a way.
Yeah, I've never done that, so I don't want to.
So, but when I did it, I like to look around. I want to see what the world is in this state of mind.
Yeah.
So when I did it, the first thing I did was I took the mask up and I sat up, and there was 4 people in the room with me. Yeah. Right. There was a doctor that administered it. There was a really good friend of mine. And then there was 2 like shaman ladies that were, they're there to like hold space and control the energy of the room. And the first thing I did is I wanted to look around. So I took my mask off and I looked around, and in that moment, I had a 1-to-1 connection with everybody in the room that felt like it was like telepathic connection.
Really?
Like I could see through them. I could see all their secrets. There was no secrets. There was nothing. And then all of my secrets were out in the open.
And they knew it?
And it was the freest feeling I've ever had in my life.
Wow. It
was the feel like I'm not even joking.
I believe you.
It was like we don't realize this weight we carry of keeping secrets from each other. Mm-hmm. And in that moment there was no secrets. Everybody was connected. And it was the happiest feeling I've ever felt.
That's great. That's great.
Well, so from that, it freed me from like my own mental blocks, right? I had all these ego and social blocks where I didn't want to interact or be around anybody. Mm-hmm. And then from all of those experiences, I was like, I'm normal again. Like I'm ready to like go back out, almost like I was reborn into the world. And so from there, I started training very hard again, becoming that earlier version of myself that was motivated and hungry and happy to meet people and socially, I don't know, like wanting to be around the world again. And then doors started opening. I put out my resume to my network of, retired SEALs, quickly got a really good job in Austin. Yeah. And then from that world, it led me into training people. I train Alex in the mornings now. Been doing that for a year and a half.
I mean, you train one of the most polarizing people in American media, if not world media.
Yeah.
Which is Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Which, I remember watching him and listening to him before 2001 and a little bit after, because my dad introduced me to Art Bell and George Norrie.
Mm-hmm.
So and I grew up watching the X-Files. So I'm like, oh, I love all these things. So I was always like familiar with him, you know? But yeah, that's, I can only imagine, like, cause I think Alex is like, I don't know him. I've never met him, but I'm imagining he's a personality who probably likes to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine from having a personal trainer, you're not in the driver's seat when you're getting trained. You're not even the passenger.
Yeah.
You're the child in the back row, strapped in, trying to reach for your sippy cup. Mm-hmm. And your parents are like, you're not getting that till you get there. Yeah. Like, I imagine that's what it is. So like, I can only imagine you're like, all right, another rep. And he's like, not going to do it. You're like, you fucking are going to do it. Like, I can only imagine what that is like.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He was really out of shape. He was like about 290 pounds when we started.
Wow.
And then I got him down into the high 230s. So he lost a lot of weight really, in a fairly short amount of time. And we were going to do a documentary on it at one point. We had a film crew and everything out there, and it was going to be about Alex's comeback story. But it took a little while for him to gain respect. But with me, I didn't put up with his bullshit. I was never an Alex Jones fan growing up. I'm not a fanboy of anybody,
I mean, he was always on my radar just because it was like, that's that world. Yeah.
And so it was definitely a shock for him to be around somebody that wouldn't put up with his bullshit. And that's not a yes man. But then once he felt comfortable around me, I think it's nice for him to have somebody around him that'll keep him in check. You know what I mean?
At some point, like, you need that real world, like, I call it the body check. I played hockey. Yeah. So you need your friend, like, hey, I'm playing against my friend, you know?
And when you get that big, they're surrounded by yes men.
Even if they don't want to.
Yeah.
That's how being around people in LA, like, there's these leeches that just like, I call them Klingons, not because I'm a fan of Star Trek, but they like cling on to they ride the coattails, And what I was saying about hockey is like, you're playing your friend who's on the opposite team and you think they're going to go easy on you. And what do? The first thing that they do, they check you hard on the boards, let them know, like, we're playing to win.
Yeah.
Like, we'll be friends after this, but right now we're not friends.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how it's been. And since then we've trained every morning. If we're both in town, we're training. Doesn't matter if it's the weekend or a holiday, it doesn't matter. And we become really good friends over that time. He can really confide in me. And I mean, the guy's in this crazy world where half the world hates him and the other half
thinks he's a fortune teller.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. And he's a very interesting guy. It's like, we'll literally take a break from our workout because he's got a call coming in from the White House. It's such an interesting dynamic. And so, and with all of that going on around him, trying to create this sanctuary where we're not going to talk business here. Yeah. Like, this is your escape from that. For
totally.
1 hour, 60 to 90 minutes a day, we're going to take a break from that and we're going to focus on your health. Right. And so now I've gotten him to the point where it's not like just a gig, like, this is his way of life now. And if we go a few days without working because one of us is on a trip or both of us are, like, he's letting me know. He's like, I need to get back in the gym, And so that's where I wanted to, this needed to become who he is.
Yeah.
And we're there now.
That's great. I mean, I'm a fan of anybody getting healthy.
Yep.
It's one of the best things I ever did was not only get a personal trainer, but it was getting an RD, registered dietitian. That was the biggest thing. It's like they said, like, you could train as hard as you want, but if you're not getting the right fuel, your car's not going to perform. If you have a sports car, there's certain maintenance you need, but if you're giving it like 87 octane, and it needs like 110, it's going to misfire.
It's not just that; it's your hormones too. That's what they're starting to figure out yet.
Is that what?
Your hormones, your body hormones levels, like your testosterone.
Yeah.
So if you and your listeners haven't gotten tested yet, go do a hormone blood panel test.
Okay.
Right? It's not cheap. It costs about $400 to $500 depending on where you're getting it, but you send it off to a lab. Waste to Well is a really good place here in Austin. That's the place that Joe Rogan's always talking about.
Okay.
I've had Brigham Bueller on my podcast. I'm not plugging them, but I've done it, and everybody I've ever sent to go do it, it changes your whole world, men and women.
Yeah.
Like, hormone levels are so drastically out of whack, which is why we see so much of this crazy stuff in the world right now. Yeah. And people have no idea. Like, men, when I went to get tested, my testosterone was about a 300, and they told me like standard medicine tells you that is normal range.
It's not.
300, that's a 30 on a test. It's 300 out of a scale of 0 to 1,000. Yeah. So my grandfather, when he was my age, his testosterone would have been about 600 to 800. Oh, I'm half, and this goes for the whole world. Yeah. Our testosterone is half of where it should be.
I remember reading about that. And there's also interesting data talking about how cholesterol is in control of your hormone production.
Everything affects it.
Particularly cholesterol. Mm-hmm. If you look at the diet trends since like the early 90s of the low fat, low cholesterol diet really come into effect, there's a huge drop. I saw a graph that was like, hey, look at this time. Mm-hmm. And this dropped significantly faster with the popularity of that. It's like the inverse is happening. Yeah.
Jelly Roll, all that weight he lost?
Yeah.
He went to Brigham and Ways to Well. And
really?
He started with his hormones.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It's all your hormones, because that dictates everything. It dictates the amount of energy you have, the motivation you have to get in the gym. Yeah. Right? How happy you are. Your hormones are everything.
My buddy Mike was talking about how his testosterone was, he was doing TRT, but a very small amount. Mm-hmm. And he was in like the 600-700 range or something like that. And then he was talking about how he started doing what he called hippie shit. He started doing grounding, mindfulness, going to sleep with his circadian rhythm, all of these things. And it got up to like 1,200. Oof. He's like, he didn't change anything else other than implementing these other practices in conjunction with he had already been on this protocol for a while, and he did not increase his dosage or anything. He's like, I'm training the same way. It's been regular. It's been good. He did this. He went in for his blood work to test it all out. And it was like 1,200. He increased like 600 points or some shit like that. I'm probably getting the numbers wrong, but it was a significant amount that made me just go, I wonder if, this is like the big if, right? Let's say you don't get any of the blood work done. Just if you were to implement the quote hippie shit that Mike was talking about, would that change your baseline?
Possibly, yeah.
I mean,
it could have a lot to do with it. Well, I mean, hormones, like I said, it controls your temperament, how you feel, your breathing, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's worth a shot. Yeah, if somebody doesn't want to try TRT. But here's the thing, like this is what Brigham was saying on my podcast. Yeah. Most people don't realize, but women have more testosterone in them than estrogen.
Yeah.
And so women, their hormone levels are really out of whack, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into like birth control for women, throws their shit way out of whack.
Yep.
They're saying there's chemicals in these like tampons and, these products that these women are using.
You want to talk about glyphosate. I mean, that's what they use in the cotton.
Yeah.
So that cotton, I mean, it's, there's something to be said about all that.
Yeah. And we see a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. I wonder how much of it is credited to hormone levels just out of whack right now.
It very well could be.
We have all this processed food, all of this horrible stuff that's going on, and we're ingesting this, we're putting it into our body. Our sleep cycles are way out of whack compared to our ancestors.
Do you follow the
work schedules are?
Do you follow Molly Eastman? She's a sleep specialist here in Austin. She has a really cool podcast. Yeah, and she talks about all the things you need to actually get a good night rest, and it's true blackness you need in your room.
Yep, I've heard that.
And she goes into more stuff like also like how to get yourself prepared for bed, not just like not watching your blue light screens and shit like that. Right, but there's a lot more to it.
I've heard a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't implement it, but I've heard it.
I do. I'll show you what I do on this one. You ready for this one? I did this. So here's my phone. And it goes straight to red.
Yeah.
So just for the record, my screen is red. And that way, when I want to scroll around, I can do that. And I have noticed that my disinterest jumps up exponentially. I'm like, I don't really want to do this. Not to mention, if you're on anything, you're reading, there's a link, it's all in blue and you can't fucking see it. So you'll be reading something, you're like, what the fuck is because it's blank.
Yeah.
Because it removes all the blue out of the screen. So you can't find any hyperlinks.
I see.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. But yeah, man. And you have a podcast, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So
I started the podcast, about a year ago now? Almost?
What was the motivation for that?
Honestly, I have been in this world of podcasting for the last almost 6 years, and I've been watching people do it and kind of just going like, why haven't I tried this? Right?
Harder than it looks?
It is harder than it looks. Yeah, it certainly is.
I think it would be really hard. By the way, clearly I'm doing a podcast, right? But I think doing the podcast the way you do it would be really fucking hard.
Why?
Because I don't know how to talk to strangers without cutting their hair.
You got to be doing something.
Like this is how I know how to do it for the last 20 something years. Somebody I don't know sits down, we start talking, I get to know who they are at the end of it.
Yeah.
Like this setup, my format is how I get to know people. But I'm not in a world, my job doesn't allow me to sit down and get to know somebody across from a table or like a business, like formal business shit.
Yeah. No, it's definitely strange, but I really love it. There's parts of it that still terrify me, right? Like one of the biggest things is, as I'm sure you know, is when you're doing a podcast, your biggest fear is not having a question when they're done talking, right? So
it can be. It is, but I'm also multitasking, right? So I'm also like listening and trying to like digest what they said while also not trying to fuck up their haircut.
Yeah,
so it takes me a while to kind of like, okay, so we just got done with this. Or so I understand that. I think it would be more terrifying if I was just sitting there. I would probably be like Huberman and I'd have like prepared questions.
Right, yeah, which I do. I keep a notepad, but I'm trying to get away from that because then your notepad is leading the conversation as opposed to just like really like investing yourself into the conversation fully. That's right.
Yeah, that's
so, but I had to use notes a lot at the beginning because I was so worried about, for one, yes, it's your platform and it's your podcast and you want to succeed and you have standards for yourself as a host, right? And an interviewer. But for two, more importantly is you want this to be a good experience for your guest, not just in that seat during the podcast, but afterwards. You want a lot of eyes to go look at what they're doing, what they're saying.
Yeah, you don't want to also embarrass them.
You know, and I've had podcasts where, for whatever reason, nobody wanted to go on there and look at it. It's just like, man, I'm sorry, I thought you were going to get more views than that, but you know, it's just
you never know.
Yeah, so you know, when you take the emphasis of the podcast off of yourself and what you want and put it on the guest, to me, that makes it much more, I mean, you're doing this for somebody else instead of yourself. You're going to give it more effort, you know?
I mean, my rules for myself on this is first, make sure that the haircut looks good. I'm serious. That's like, cause that's what I do for a living, right?
Yeah.
The second thing is I don't want the final product to ever make my guest or me look like an asshole. What I mean then is I've had guests on where like we know each other and we already have inside jokes and the inside joke doesn't read well.
Right. Yep.
And you're like, exactly man, that's funny. And I show it to my wife. She's like, that's actually kind of like rude. It's like, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got to pull that out.
Yeah.
Because that's the last thing I want. Somebody go, thanks. Now you made me look like a fucking asshole.
Right,
I'm like, no, but like.
Yeah. I had a young editor that he would make reels for me at one point. I won't say his name or anything, but one of the things he liked to do was find the most outlandish thing that the guest would say on the podcast and try to cut it up into a reel and post it. And I had to have a talk with him and be like, hey, dude, you can't do that. Like, we're not here to make these guys look like shit.
No.
Like, I want this to be a good experience for them. Even if we don't agree on everything, my job isn't, I'm not here to show them up, you know?
No, I'm not playing the game of gotcha.
Yeah.
If I wanted to do that, I'd just become an actual journalist.
Exactly.
You know? All right, I'm going to take this little piece right there.
Yeah.
Just seeing where your cowlick is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I get it. There's just so many things to like consider when you're doing a podcast that I don't think a lot of people really, like, do you have like your own niche? Like, is it like, are you interviewing like special forces? Are you doing like your, like the world of, like Alex Jones people? Are you going more fitness? I mean, you can go into a few different directions.
I'm going everywhere.
You're going, me too. I'm like, look, somebody's interesting. I've had the most amazing conversations with people nobody knows about by cutting hair.
Yeah.
And I wish 20 something years ago I had this idea, because I would have had professors and all sorts of really crazy shit going on.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I got to at least, I can stage that environment.
Yeah.
I can't stage the conversation.
No, it's a good point. One of the things I've always wanted to do was basically start creating a capsule of people that are going to be passing away. So like say your grandma or your grandfather, you know their time is coming. Why not sit them down, do a podcast for 2 or 3 hours and ask them about their life, right?
I've actually, my grandma is in her late 80s. She's not doing very well. She will ask me the same question every 30, 40 seconds. She can't hear very well. I would love to film it just for my own personal, just to have that interaction in that video.
Yeah. But how much knowledge is lost, right? How many lessons learned through hard knocks are we repeating because we haven't recorded any of this stuff, right? If you could go back and there was a capsule of the last 10 generations of men before you, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? How much would you learn about yourself growing up, right? This is my grandpa talking about when he was in his 30s.
Oh yeah.
Right? This is the shit that he went through. And you might just sit there and go, holy shit.
Yeah.
I thought this was just my problem. Like,
yeah.
So a lot of that knowledge is lost, and we now have the technology to save it. So I think we should all be doing it, honestly. I'm going to do my mom soon.
Yeah. I've been thinking when my dad comes out here, I want to, because he's like, hey, I need to get a haircut. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to film my dad. Because every now and then my dad will tell me stories about what it was like growing up in the 70s and like going like cruising the boulevard in like LA. And he's like, man, you would have loved it then. I'm like, I probably would have.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I wasn't alive.
Yeah.
And
or just even like a relationship struggles or, stuff like that. Like there's just so much stuff that we keep repeating because we don't save it. We don't save the information.
Well, the other thing too, I did something with a client of mine. She was not a therapist, but she did like a generational trauma therapy where she asks you about the family history and the relationships and all sorts of stuff. And you're able to kind of figure out where they call it generational trauma, where some people subscribe to and others don't. But it was very interesting to see how somebody's environment shaped the other person. And then that person shapes another. Next thing you know, you're looking at yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wow, I do these things. And then she was also saying that there's generational genes or personalities that get passed down. Like,
100%.
wow, like my great grandpa, who I never met, we both wore our belt the same way. Like a weird thing like that.
Yeah.
And I never seen that photo. And I would wear it. And I would, if I have a belt buckle, I always wear it off to the side. And it's because I didn't want it to scratch up the back of my guitars.
Okay.
But he was also a country western singer out in like New Mexico. And I have his 1929 Dobro. And he has a photo of him playing it. And I'm like, I bet you he did the same fucking thing. But he died before, he died when my dad was 10. So I would never met my great grandpa.
Right.
But I wonder, I'm like, man, I wonder if there's like certain traits that you just, or a generational thing. But yeah, dude, I think we're fit. We're done. It's pretty square. What are you going to do with this? Is this what you want me to trim this down?
Can you just clean up the neckline?
Yeah, I can do that. You know what? Let's clean the neckline after we turn this thing off, because they're just going to see my back the entire time.
Okay.
I've done that before.
That's fine.
Awful. So where do they find you?
You can find me so the Shawn Johnson podcast. I'm on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, and then at Shawn B. Johnson is my Instagram handle, and on also on X too. Yeah.
All right.
The Shawn Johnson podcast.
Cool. I'm gonna put that all in the show notes.
Thank you, man.
Dude,
Appreciate you.
Thank you for finding time in your busy day. I know it's very busy.
Well, next time I'll grow the hair out much longer. So
no, but like, dude, you keep it short. This looks good.
Yeah.
It fits your head better. You don't look as light bulbish.
Yeah.
And you have and like you have like a little bit of like natural grease in your hair, so it has like some texture to it already.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're not doing anything with your hair, this is like a really good idea of like what it's going to look like most of the time.
Perfect.
So, all right, man. Thank you.
Cool.
Later.
Thanks, everybody.